Welcome to episode 193. Can you believe we have made it this far? If you haven't yet rate or reviewed us on this show, make sure you jump on and do that. It really does help us to get amazing guests. The more listenership that we have, and one of those phenomenal guests is Robyn Parras, which you are going to meet today. Now, some of you may have listened to the episode that she did with us last year. I believe it was episode 162. So do make sure you have a listen to that as well. But Robyn is here today, not only as a studio owner of many years with Prodigy Performing Arts, but also as the dance apprentice, as she helps studios transform their students into amazing teachers. Now, she's going to be a guest speaker at the 2025 Studio Biz Summit in Sydney, where we will celebrate International Dance Day on April 29th. So if you don't have your ticket yet, make sure that you do grab that ticket because you will get to meet Robyn in person. Now, the masterclass topic that she's bringing to the summit is investing in your team to future-proof your studio. And she's also going to talk about that topic on the show today. So you are absolutely in for a treat because let's face it, the team, your teachers are the face of your business. And that is a really important role that cannot be overlooked. Robyn is all about training, quality training, developing team, and making sure that we are not only retaining our students, but also retaining our teams. And so she's going to talk about what that actually looks like in today's episode. Now, do note that today's episode is a taster of what you can expect at Studio Biz Summit, where she's going to really deep dive. But anyway, let's get to know Robyn, and I'm not sure if you can hear some noise in the background, but we do have some renovations going on. So, all that love, we know what that's like. But yeah, let's jump in with Robyn because she's awesome and I'm so excited to have her back as a guest on this show. Enjoy. Hello and welcome to Studio Biz and All That Jazz. I'm your performing arts business coach and host, Josephine Lancuba. This show is designed to bring you inspiration, information, and the instruments you need to create and grow the studio biz of your dreams. I will bring you a mix of solo episodes as well as interviews where I tap into the minds of industry experts. My career started as a performer over 2 decades ago. I later became a speaker, theatrical producer, and talent manager, as well as having a successful teaching career in singing, drama, and dance. 10 years into my professional journey, I became a mama of 2 and with a baby on my hip, opened up my very own performing arts studio. From hardship and humble beginnings to 4 studio locations and a multi-6-figure performing arts biz, I know how to attract students and keep them coming back for more. And in the show, I will share with you my experiences to help you thrive and fast-track your path to success. I know you have a spark inside of you with dreams and goals for the future. As your coach and mentor, I'm here to help you step into your limelight and be a cheerleader in your ear each and every week. So get ready to be entertained and inspired as we talk studio biz and all that jazz. Have you got your ticket yet to Studio Biz Summit? There is only a couple of weeks left, so grab your ticket now where you can meet me and Robyn in person in Sydney to celebrate International Dance Day. Head to josephinelancuba.com/summit. Link is in the show notes. We have the wonderful Robyn Parras on the show today. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me today. I'm super excited to chat all things investing in our team.
Yeah, I do love that. And I love how much passion and dedication you have to this very topic. So like you said, when it comes to you being a speaker at Studio Biz Summit, the topic you're going to be bringing to everyone, like I mentioned in the intro, is investing in your team to future-proof your studio. Now, before we get into all of that beautiful, juicy team stuff, I want everyone to know about you because before we hit record, we were talking about the obsessions of brand colors and how I've got all the purple stuff and you've got all the green stuff for your studio Prodigy. Tell us about that as a studio owner before we get into the whole dance apprentice side of your business. Yeah, how did you get obsessed with green?
So I went into a rebrand in 2020 during COVID. So I knew I wanted to rebrand a year before. So I'd actually registered the business name a year before, Prodigy Performing Arts, and
What was
then
it prior to Prodigy?
Rock the Block Dance.
Rock the Block.
I
Wow.
know. So I just felt the direction that my studio was moving in needed to have a refresh, needed a rebrand. And I wanted something really current and more aligned with what we're about. And, the meaning behind Prodigy is, a child with exceptional qualities and abilities. And I feel that all kids have that in one way or another. So I was really adamant to make sure that that was the meaning behind our brand. And we push and our kids to, shine in every avenue of their life. So that really aligned with us. So we had come up, or I'd come up with the concept of what I wanted the new branding to be. And I always liked black and white, but I always wanted another color in there. And just looking around like our studios that surround us, we've got 12 studios within 5 kilometers and so something like 25 studios within 10. So it is very highly, highly competitive. And I wanted a color that meant, growth. So green was growth. And I wanted a color that would stand out in our area as well, and no one had green. So I always loved green. I don't know what it is about it, but I'm attracted to the color green. And yeah, that's how Prodigy got that color. So everything that we have or I buy, I've got all the different color green blazers and green shoes and green stilettos and everything like that. Um, I just feel like being on brand just always makes people remember, like, oh, what's that green studio? Oh, that's right, it's Prodigy. What is green affiliated with? Prodigy. So that's why I have a little bit of a obsession with always being on brand, really.
It's interesting, isn't it, how we can associate simple things like that to a brand. And I love that you took that step from, Rock the Block days, which is it's a fun name, but I can see why, you wanted to perhaps evolve from that initial stage into Prodigy. It's really interesting how that branding is really a part of the message we send out to people. Like when we make a statement, it's a memory piece. It's who we are, right? So that focus is really, really important. And I know that you've been building your business for many years, to the point it is now. You've got quite a large studio here in Sydney. Tell us about that. How long have you been, in the studio ownership space?
This is my 17th year doing this now. Um, so I started out my studio in my last year of uni. So I was doing primary school teaching. And then in my last year of uni, I opened my studio just out of a community hall. And then we've just evolved from there. I just think I'm always wanting to be at the forefront of the industry. So, pushing to grow all the time, and offering our offerings of what we offer here, not just in class wise, but our customer service, I feel is the absolute pivotal reason why our growth just continues to flourish because we are very customer centric here and we take that approach in how we do everything. And, our main core value is family. So everything that we do and we think of is, okay, how can we include our Prodigy family? What are our Prodigy family needing? What are they wanting? And then creating things to make it easier for parents, as seamless for parents. So yeah, that's kind of, I feel that has been such a big part of our growth as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic to hear that kind of customer centric focus. I think often, business owners tend to think about what their wants and needs are, and obviously that is important. But if we're not focusing on the customer, then we're going to lose the customer at the end of the day.
Yeah, and look, don't get me wrong, there's elements in my school where I'm like, no, like this is how we need to have things done. And I think particularly more so in our company stream or our troop stream where we can be a little bit, tighter around the rules of what we want to expect. We can still do that, like at the end of the day, we're all sitting in a Stedfords from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. on a Saturday and then again on a Sunday. So you know, we have to tighten the belt on a lot of things, and the competition these days is next level. Like it is next level. So there are elements where it's like, no, this is how we need it to be able to compete in the industry now and the way things are moving. However, we still make that process for parents seamless. You know, like how do we do the costuming, the organizing? Is the competitions that we're doing easy for parents to get to? Is the culture of that competition aligned with our culture? So there's a lot of things like that that we still have that customer centric approach. And obviously, the way our concerts are run and all of our community events, but there are other elements where, yes, we do have to do things our way in a sense as well. Otherwise, you just lose your integrity, really.
Yeah, it's a balancing act for sure.
Yeah.
Tell us about the performance element, because I know you just said that, you've got these elite troops and you've got all this stuff happening, but you actually come from a performance background. And I always see online like lots of cheerleader stuff going on. Tell us about the cheerleader stuff, because I find that really interesting and it looks quite
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, so that's my forte, I would say, is um is the cheerleader stuff. I was a cheerleader back in the day when I was 18. I ran the Sydney Roosters cheerleaders for 13 years. I took a year off, and then this year I am now the director of the Cronulla Sharks Mermaids. So I've been really, really lucky to get back into it and create one of NRL's leading teams. And it is a huge passion of mine. The choreography style is completely different to anything else that's out there. And I really love having that, also differentiation, so to speak, because our cheer classes here at Prodigy are at capacity. We've got wait lists because it is very different to what is out there. But yeah, it is definitely a passion. I love it. And I just love having that camaraderie and building that team spirit amongst a group of girls. And, I've been doing it so long that the girls, they meet at cheer and they become each other's bridesmaids at, their wedding. So I'm really passionate about building that team culture as well there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of team culture, let's talk about something that you are an expert in, and that is future-proofing team. This is a topic that you're going to be bringing to Studio Biz Summit. So everyone listening, if you haven't got your ticket yet, make sure that you do, because Robyn's going to be there, and we're going to be talking about that amongst other topics. But this is something that you're going to be hyper-focused on. Tell us about that. Tell us about how we can invest in team. You're the dance apprentice. Let everyone know about what you do in that space.
Yeah, 100%. And I think as studio owners, we focus so heavily on the marketing element and how are we getting more students in. I know personally I'm obviously focused on that, but I know that my retention and my churn, like my retention's very high and our churn is low. But that is because I am investing in my team and I invest in my team very heavily. And I'm not saying I pour thousands and thousands of dollars um into, things, but I do give them really good quality team training. And I will harp on about it for years because I am so passionate about it. And in no other industry are we putting non-trained teachers in front of kids. You're not going to go to a school and put your child in a school that has teachers who haven't been to university and been trained. So, it's the same with swimming. So why are we doing it in the dance industry? Why are we not giving teachers the tools that they need to, A, safely teach our students, protect them, but also protect them in a way that, is protecting their body, their little bodies, and not pushing them beyond their limitations. Building them up to be not just amazing dancers, but amazing humans? Are we using the correct wording? Are we providing the correct feedback? How are we communicating with these kids? And just our demeanor in class, how are we presenting ourselves? Are they enjoying the class? Are they scared to come in? Are we turning them off wanting to be dancers altogether? Or are we creating an environment that's inviting, nurturing, and that sees our kids maximize learning in a positive environment? And that's the tools that we need to be training our teachers in, because at the end of the day, you can spend thousands of dollars on Facebook marketing, you can go and do shopping center promos and school fetes, but what's going on in the classroom once you get those kids in the door? Are your retention rates, are your conversion rates in your trials, up in the 90% range? Or is it a 50-50? Are we making those kids love class so much that we are converting them straight away and retaining them for years to come because your team are creating that environment that makes the kids want to come back every week? So that's something that, I've really focused on is training my team to make sure that their classes are 100% second to none every single week. And there's
Mm.
no, ifs or buts about it. And I tell my team, if you're not feeling well, if you're having an off day, I would rather you ring and let me know that you're not up to coming in rather than coming in and giving the kids a class that doesn't live up to what the expectation is.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Do you think that people are receptive to consistent training? Like, is it something that you're finding people within your studio actually enjoy? Or because I know from a studio owner perspective, sometimes it's like the thought of training is almost daunting and oh, we've got to do this thing and it's such a big task. But I mean, what's your view on that from a studio owner perspective and then from the actual teacher's perspective, the benefits, I
yeah,
suppose.
absolutely. I think with the Dance Apprentice, I have two fully fledged programs, and I use modules from those programs to train my team. So, for example, if I find like we do our child protection module every year, and I use my Dance Apprentice module, it is so thorough. It trains them in every element of child protection and mandatory reporting, how to make a report using the mandatory reporter guide if you are in New South Wales. And we do a refresher on that every year. If I find that my preschool team need, updating on their strategies, I then train them through my preschool module specifically. But then I also see, for example, what's needed in my school. So then I will talk about those elements. But in terms of teacher training itself, I've got the elements there through the course to train them in. And in terms of my teachers, they love coming to the studio for staff trainings because I don't just do a very boring seminar with them. I do food and fun games and icebreakers. And, our latest meeting that we had, I got them into groups and they had to come up with a retention tool for the studio or a retention event or something like that. So they created that as a team. So for me, it's creating that teamwork, that team camaraderie within the school as well, that the kids then see because my teachers are all getting along really well, and that then filters through to the rest of my school within the kids. And my team know that the team meetings are compulsory and they don't want to miss them because they are fun. And I put on a really good feed for them as well. And at the start of the year, I give them a big welcome kit with t-shirts and mugs and bags and all the things that they get. And I think that they feel very valued, so they want
Mm.
to come. And I really do put emphasis on feeling valued here.
Yeah, there's a few key things that you've said there. Obviously, the value, which is really important. I love that you also focused on not just the strategies in the classroom, but your training also embodies the technical side of it, or the administrative, or the safety side of it. So, because it's not just about the delivery, there's also other elements of the job that they really need to understand and know to be in a position of duty of care when it comes to minors. Like, or
100.
people's bodies, it doesn't matter if they're adults, like you're actually working people's bodies. You need to understand their body and those limitations in the sense of what is, safe warm-up practice, etc. Like that's actually really, really important.
And like, I'm not here saying that I'm a physiotherapist and I'm training
No.
physiotherapists. I've definitely had, trained physiotherapists and majors in anatomy and physiology sit with me and they've created our three anatomy and physiology modules. And then I've been able to give that dance perspective. And one of my anatomy and physiology majors is also an RAD teacher as well. So, it's not like we've just randomly put something together. We've put things together that are for the dance industry specifically,
Mm.
and training our students to condition them and then apply that in the classrooms to make sure that they are building, strong glutes and things like that to make sure that their hips stay safe or whatever it is that they're teaching in that class. We've given them the tools to be able to do that safely. And that is a big key, I think. Like you said, it's not just understanding coming into the classroom and I've got the best choreography in the world, and that's great, but how are you also delivering that choreography? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
there's that safety element and keeping our bodies safe, but also what are your teaching strategies that you're using? How are you applying your teaching to the three different learning styles? What if you've got students with ASD or ADHD? Are you able to adapt your class to suit the needs of those kids? And all of those things we should know as teachers in the background. That's the
Mm.
training you need to be knowing.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything you don't learn in dance college, I say,
100%, 100%.
right?
And a lot of teachers that come through, we have our pathway, or essentially is a 3 to 4 year teacher training program. And a lot of kids start and think, oh, I don't want to do this. I just want to be a choreographer. This isn't really for me. And I just have to say to them, that's fine, but unfortunately you won't be able to teach you because there's a lot more involved than being a great choreographer. I want you to learn how to nurture our kids and train them properly.
Yeah,
So,
and I like the injection of fun. I'm a big believer in that, the injection of fun when it comes to training. It's like I'm the same. When I've ever run team training days in my studio, I've had, food, catering, a bit of fun, that camaraderie. I'm actually a big believer in that as well. I think it's really
yeah.
important to not just make it a stale learning environment.
Gosh, no, I would get bored myself, to be honest. And I think being in this dance industry, I feel like all of us creatives are like that. We would get bored. So I love, like, I'm very extrovert. I will do crazy things all the time, but my energy is feeding into my team. And they find that fun and they want to be there because they know they're not just sitting through 20 sides of falling asleep, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you have an opinion on, because I see this conversation happening in a lot of the groups, what's your opinion on payment for training when it comes to team?
We pay our staff for training.
Yeah, yeah, I believe in that too. I know I believe on minimum wards and some different, it depends what you're on. Like some trainings, actually, it's not compulsory to pay. Um, but I always paid, even
Yeah.
if it was a training rate, I feel like there should be something, you
We
know?
pay our team the admin rate for
Yeah.
their award, if that makes sense. So we have some teachers on $110 an hour, but they would be on an admin rate of, whatever it was, 35 or $38 an hour for that time to be at the meetings and trainings.
Yeah, yeah, amazing. And I'm glad you said that because a lot of people are saying, why aren't my people arriving? Why aren't they committed to training? Like, well,
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, and making it compulsory but without pay makes it really hard to have that. It shouldn't just be about money, but it is about money a bit. Like they've got to be paid for their time too.
They've got to be paid for their time. And at the end of the day, it benefits you. And this is the way that I see it. Like it's an investment. This is why I always use the word, investing in your team. Yes, we've got to pay them, but the time that you put into those team members of yours, it's going to pay back because your students want to stay, because they're doing the right things in the classrooms. They're providing the right customer service to the parents. So
Mm.
it's just a roll-on effect. Um, that's why I look at it as an investment.
Yeah, yeah, awesome. So you're going to be at Studio Biz Summit celebrating International Dance Day with us in Sydney, live and in
Super excited.
person. Ooh, tell us what people can expect
Yeah,
from
so
you. What are they
I'm
going to
definitely,
expect from you?
oh, I love having some little things up my sleeve, but I'm going to go through ways that, or some things that you can train your team in that I feel are really important. I'm going to go through ways that you can show your team you can value them a lot, and just go through some, team meeting strategies as well, with how you can create great, meetings with your team or staff trainings with your team as well.
Yeah, cool. So we're going to get into the nitty-gritties of those details so people will be able to walk away from your session with tangible things that they can actually implement into their business.
Definitely. I'm all about, wanting to see the dance industry flourish in this area. I think there is a little bit of we kind of, like I said, we have such a big focus in growing our numbers, and absolutely I'm all about that. But what's retaining our numbers? So everything that I give, all the details I give, all the information is valuable to be able to implement back when they get back into the studio.
Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, I'm excited. Now,
Me too.
before
I
we
can't
wrap
wait.
today, I just want to finish off with a few little questions that I like to ask my guests. I don't remember what you said last time you were on the show. This may have shifted and changed. We're going to have to flick back. You'll have to flick back. I can't even remember. Gosh, when were you last on
I'm
the show?
nervous.
It's been,
A
I
while.
reckon, a while. Could even be a year, guys. But
I
do a search because it could be really interesting to see because people evolve and change. So let's
They
hear what you
do.
have to say. Who or what inspires you most?
My mum.
Mm,
I think I said that last time.
doesn't matter.
Yeah. I think just, having a million balls in the air and just putting a smile on your face and just getting on with it. And I think as studio owners, we wear so many hats and we can get so overwhelmed.
Mm.
Um, and it's not an easy industry to be in, I don't find. It's not something that everyone can relate to. Like if you're not in it, I don't feel that you would completely understand it. Um, and yeah, she just, she's got 5 kids, 5 grandkids, running a household. She works for me 5 days a week. Like she just has so much going on. But I just look at her and think, mum can do it. She's gotten through it. Look at all the stuff I've got on here. I can do it. We've got, she's my rock when anything, you know, falls apart. I've got her there as well. So,
So does
yeah.
she keep you grounded, would you say?
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. And she'll tell
Mm.
me when I'm being silly. She'll, comfort me when I need it. Um, she's my rock.
What does she do in the studio? She works there 5 days a week. What's her role?
She's at reception.
Oh, nice.
And she also does all of our accounts as well. All of my
I
book.
actually recently did an interview with a studio that has a mother-daughter partnership, like they're both owners. You're not co-owners with your mum. She
No.
works with you. And they said it's an interesting dynamic because even though you're not co-owners, you're the owner, but still working with your mum, right? Is there
Yeah.
ever a time where you think she oversteps the work boundary and is like your mum and is saying like kind of telling you what to do, or is there any of that sort of
Um,
stuff?
no, she doesn't overstep the boundary, but we do have a funny relationship sometimes. Like if you walked in here, you'd be like, okay, this is like a reality TV show, you know? It's more or less, I've asked mum to do a few things and it hasn't been done. Or it just gets done in the way that works for her rather than what works for the studio. So I just kind of, yeah, it's an interesting dynamic when that happens. So
Yeah, it would be absolutely the challenges of working with
the
family. There you go.
challenges, the challenge.
But again, reliable support.
That's right.
She's not
Wouldn't
going
have it any other
anywhere.
way. I would feel lost. I'd feel very lost if she wasn't here.
Mm. Oh, that's lovely. What does success mean to you?
So I feel like I remember this question from last time. Success for me is seeing my students come in the door happy, seeing my families happy, and me being happy with, you know, taking time off and not feeling stressed about being at the studio. Because that's one thing I really struggled with was my studio owner guilt, and not working 15-hour days. And, if I needed a night off, I would have very bad studio owner guilt. So for me, success is being able to say, you know what, I need 2 nights off. I'm not coming in tonight and feeling
Have you
okay.
reached that, or are you still working towards that?
This year has been probably the first year where my mindset has been more positive around that, so to speak. Um, I needed 2 Tuesday nights off in a row from teaching, and I was totally okay with that. I would normally stress because I had the week off before, and I feel that that is completely okay now. I'm okay with that.
Mm.
I work 8 days a week, I'm there for my kids 24/7. I'm there for my clients 24/7. And I feel that if I need to go on a holiday or take some time off, or I've got another event that I need to be at, then that is okay to do that.
Mm. Yeah,
And the
well, you
place won't
can't
go
fill
up
up
in,
other people's cups on an empty cup, can you?
no, that's right.
So would you then see yourself today as successful?
Yes, definitely. I think when I walk around my classrooms and I can see what I've created, like my staff are so energetic, bubbly. They're so happy being in the classroom with their kids. My kids are so energetic, so happy when they're learning. And my parents in the waiting room are all talking. That for me is like the epitome of what I wanted to create is that family, happy environment and a place where kids can feel safe and be themselves.
Mm. I love the confidence in that. That is so fantastic and such a strong statement, to say, yes, I'm feeling
Yeah.
successful. It's
And I
really cool.
feel that anyone who would come in here, like a lot of my guest teachers who come in here, are like commenting on, the culture of the studio and the
Mm.
kids, how they want to be there, they want to learn, they love being in that excitable environment. Um, and I love that. I think that's really important.
Yeah, amazing. So what's next? What's next? Besides being at Studio Biz Summit, what's
Um,
happening in your business world or whatever world? What's next?
there's so much going on, actually. I've got 4 whiteboards up at the moment that are all full for all my different businesses. I think for me this year for Prodigy is really, we did the build last year and I felt like we grew quite big very quickly. So this year I'm just wanting to learn to adapt to that growth.
How
And
many students and studios like locations do you now have?
we have one location with 5 studios.
Mm.
We're almost at our 700 mark.
Yeah.
Um, but then that's kind of that next phase of growth. And for me, my next kind of element to that is what does that look like for us administratively? So,
Mm.
who am I going to need to put on as an extra full-time staff member? Does that look like I need to put somebody else in a customer service role and just focus on customer service?
Mm. So
Um,
last year was growth orientated. Now it's like, okay, maintenance and nurture. Let's get these systems
100%.
slick. Let's make
Yes,
sure we can maintain the growth in a way that's going to keep them,
yes,
right? And
yes.
then you can explore other options down the
That's
path.
exactly right. And that's really important for me is, like I said, customer service is our number one thing. So it's all good and well that we've grown, but how are we making sure that those people are going to stay? What are our retention strategies? So,
I love that.
I'm big on community events. We're about to run a huge community event in the school holidays. Um, and I've invited the whole studio. I'm not saying everyone's going to come, but for those people who do come, I want to make that a memorable experience for them because these are the things that the kids are going to remember when they turn 18, 19, 20. And if they do stop dancing, it's those moments. It's like that community that we created that's going to be memorable for them.
With 700 students, 5 studios operating within your building, how many team members are you managing at the moment?
We've got 29.
Mm,
It's a lot. We have most of the time 2 teachers, so I've got a head teacher and then an assistant on every class.
yeah, okay. Well, you've heard it here from the master of team.
Love my teams.
Master of teams, right? You are the master of teams because you not only have you got this studio, you're teaching people about team, you're running the cheerleading side, which is so team orientated,
So
right?
team orientated.
So team, it's all about team. So from cheerleading to large studio management to offering programs in team, team support and training. You're like the team master. That's what I say.
Yeah, I love it. Maybe I should change my slogan. Maybe we could change my little piece to the team
Yeah.
master. But I like that. Yeah. I think it's because I'm passionate and I see the benefits of what that can do for a studio. And I
Yeah.
want that for everyone. I want everyone to have that success of being able to look back and go, wow, my team are creating this environment because I've trained them.
Yeah, I love that.
So yeah.
All right. Well, if you want to get those real tangible strategies and all the things that comes along with investing in your team and future-proofing your studio, come along to Studio. I've forgotten the name of the event now. What are we called? Studio Biz Summit. I was about to call it the name of my podcast. I'm like, no, that's not the name. It's Studio Biz Summit, guys. Come along. Link is in the show notes. Thank you so much for being on the
You
show,
are
Robyn. I
so
really
welcome.
appreciate it.
Absolutely love chatting with you, and I cannot wait to give everyone some really valuable information at the summit.
Yay, let's do it. All right. Thanks, Fun.
No worries. See you.
This episode was brought to you by Studio Biz Summit, where you can enjoy industry discussions and insights at this live event for studio owners and team. Celebrate International Dance Day with us on April 29th, 2025. Grab your tickets now. Head to josephinelancuba.com/summit. See you there.